These are the things that I've commanded you not to do. What does Eila mean? So the Gemara learns out that it's 36 is the number of Eila, Aleph Lamed Hey, right? And then the Gemara here continues. Gemara right on the top of Daf Tzadik Vav Amud Beis in Tzadik Zayin Amud Beis in Shabbos learns out the numerical value. Actually, I think that's yeah. Oh, here's the Aleph. Yeah. So Rashi says over here, Parshas Vayakhel Eila Dvarim. Dvarim is plural, so that means the davar is one. Dvarim, these are the things. That's two. And then you have another things. Eila hadvarim. That's the answer. It should have said, the pasuk should have just written, Eila Devarim, these are things, Asher Tziva, Hashem, that Hashem has commanded to do. Why did it say Eila HaDevarim? The Hey is extra, so that's one letter.
Well,
extra.
But Eila is not extra.
Eila
so how do you infer from there?
So Eila is these 36 malachas. Devarim is two more, that's 38. The Hey of Devarim adds in one more, and from there we learn out that's 3. That's the third, which is 36 plus 9 is 39. These are the 39 malachas. That's what the Gemara learns out. Rabbi learns out over here that we say, Eile lamed tes malachas she'nemru l'Moshe Sinai. That was said to Moshe at Har Sinai. And that's how he learns it out. And what do you need a number for? To know, right, what's the difference? How many? The answer is because if someone does a few malachas on Shabbos, he's going to be held accountable for every individual malacha. So that was the Gemara there. So from this, yeah, so that's what he says. The Hey, that's what if you look back over here, the Baal Turim says, right, he brings this down. So it was 39. So yes, even though in many places it says Eila Hadvarim, we don't. You're asking, we don't darshan it all the times. We don't say it's extra from the fact that it said Hadvarim. It's a normal way of talking. But he says the Mishkan is different because it already said Zeh Hadavar. It already said this is the thing. So it repeated it again. Okay, fine. So that's the first thing. And then it says, I want to point out an interesting thing. It says, Eila Dvarim Asher Tziva Hashem La'asos. So the word La'asos is spelled very funny. It's spelled without a vav. So, and so what do you do with this? It's spelled without a vav. So the Torah again says that you should learn out Lamed Tesha. What is Lamed Tesha? These are the number, the letters which make up Lamed Tesha 39. That means to tell you that these 39 malachas, Sheishes Yamim, on the 6 days a week you could do them, but not on Shabbos. So he's saying you shouldn't do them on Shabbos, these 39 malachas. Again, he's saying them. Okay. And then he says also, Vayakhel Shemaim Varetz, Asher bara lekim la'asos. So there he wants to say, they're the 39 malachas you could do. Okay. Now I want to show you this Gemara because it's a fascinating Gemara which speaks out that we know from this whole parsha that there's this idea that we saw, right? The next Rashi said, let's see the next Rashi, Pasuk Gimel, you shouldn't light a fire in all of your dwelling places on Shabbos. So what does this mean, you shouldn't light a fire? So that's a lav, that's a transgression, not to light a fire, which means these are one of the 39 malachas. There's don't do borer, right? Don't separate. One of them is not to light a fire. So the question is, why did the Torah go out here specifically to write Los of Arish? Right? You could have said also. By the way, if you notice, we don't write the other 38 malachas in the Torah. So why here is this the only malacha stated here? And you don't have to either state all of them or state none of them. What is this compromise here to write just this one? Right? You hear the question here? Well, what would you say to write? Right? If you already wrote, don't do work on Shabbos. We learn out from the Mishkan that whatever was considered a work is called malacha for Shabbos. So then we know whatever is a work. Why do you have to write here? Don't light a fire. So Rashi says, Yesh Rabbi Seinu Oimrim Havara Lalav Yotzis. So some say that the reason why it said this pasuk is to tell me lilav yotzis, that it's a lav. That what? To break it up. To say that it's a lav. Yeah, that this is a lav. Each one is a lav. Interesting. So there's different. It's a whole Gemara here in Shabbos. The second one is lachalik yotzis. What does that mean? Let's say you do all 39 malachas. There was a question to say maybe if he doesn't realize it's Shabbos. He wakes up, he turns on the light, he does borer, and he does all the 39 malachas. So maybe you think he's chayiv only once, because it's really called don't do work. Maybe it goes into one big umbrella of don't do work on Shabbos. So that Rashi told us that there's someone who says that this pasuk is coming to say that for each time a person does a malacha, it's a separate malacha. It's not all one big umbrella called don't do work on Shabbos. It's called each one lechalik yotzis. It came to be mechalik, came to split up. Each malacha is a separate malacha, and if he does,
so he's coming to say if they didn't specifically mention don't light a fire, one might think all the work would be considered. If you've broken it, okay, you've broken it. So
you would have thought that, let's say he does all 39 malachas in one forgetfulness. He doesn't realize it's Shabbos. He does all the 39 malachas. How many korbanos does he have to bring? You have to bring a chatas, right? He has to bring a sacrifice. How many sacrifices does he have to bring for doing all 39 malachas in one state of forgetfulness? Right? A chatas is if he does it by mistake. Amazed, he gets punished. He gets killed if he does it by amazed. But if he does it by shoigig.
Well, we're saying that we would have thought it's under the one umbrella, but
right.
It's not, so it would be 39 separate.
Oh, so this pasuk comes to teach you that don't think it's lo sas malacha, it's one big umbrella of don't do malacha. This pasuk comes to say don't do malacha, and then it tells you one of the 39, just speaks out one. So that means it's coming to tell you that each one is a special malacha that one is chayav for every one by itself.
It's like dot dot dot.
Right, well, it's coming to...
Like it's just getting you started,
right,
and then meaning so on and so forth.
So this is called lechalik. It's coming to divide, to tell me that each one is a special melacha. And the way he says it here, so now he's not going to be, let's say, obligated one chatas. If he does, let's say, 5 melachas. He wakes up in the morning, he brushes his teeth. On Shabbos, that will be memareach, that's smearing. Then he turns on the light, that lo savaro eish. Then he squeezes out his hair. Washes his hair, he squeezes out his hair. That's schita. That's 3, right off the bat. So how many would that? So let's say how many chatas would he have to bring? But he didn't realize he forgot it's Shabbos. Sometimes a person forgets that it's Shabbos. So on that, the pasuk came to say, don't do any work, and that told you one of the 39 malachas to teach you even one qualifies for lo sasa kol malacha, and that one itself is already one has transgressed. Lo sasa malacha, don't do work. That's called you cannot do work, and therefore you will have to bring 3 chatos. That's called lechalik. This pasuk was written to divide up, to tell me that the same way, it's called we're going to compare it. We're going to compare it to everything, all the other 38 malachas. We're going to compare it to lighting a fire. Just like it says, don't light a fire here. So we say, and that will qualify to be doing a work on Shabbos, doing malacha. So the other 39 are the same way. Each one by itself will be a malacha. And if he does all 39, he's going to be chayav. He'll be obligated 39 chatas. That's what we're learning out from this pasuk. Just like lighting a fire, we know is a clear av malacha. It's a clear father of a work, and one is chayav on that by itself. So too all the other 38 is chayav on. Now the question now comes up. Now that we got that down, is that good? Now the question is why Aish? So why do you write Bayra? Right? By the way, look through the whole Torah. It won't say Bayra. Doesn't say Bayra in the whole Torah. Doesn't say Schita in the Torah. So what about, why does it say Aish? Why did it pick Aish out of the hat? Why is that?
Well, Aish would be tantamount to many other malachas, like cooking or coloring or dyeing. Maybe a lot of. Maybe there's Aish that's in foundation of a lot of the other ones. I don't know, and it's an everyday thing that we would tend to look to use would be a fire.
Maybe the first thing if you're cold, hungry, or any of your needs. No,
it's like a basic foundation of many other things.
That's interesting what you're saying here. It happens to be that what you're saying is the Sforno says a very similar thing to what you're saying here. He says, I'll read you what he says. The Sforno says, beautiful. Mohammed, you looked this up before we came here, yeah? You know the Sforno. He says, Light Tavaru Eish, don't light a fire. Afa Pisha Havara Ba'atzma He Kilkul. You would have thought, now he says an idea that maybe lighting a fire, what do you do when you light a fire? You are destroying something. And we know that on Shabbos you're only obligated, you're only chayav if you're building something, right? You spoke out, you're creating something. Usually we create things in the 39 Malachos. But you would have thought maybe making a fire, you're not chayav because you're not creating. If anything, you're destroying. Right? You're burning up wood.
Depends how you use it. You can use it to weld and create stuff.
Right. But you're going to be destroying something.
I mean,
yeah, so the question is, let's say you're destroying and
if you want to be technical, I guess it's destroying, but ultimately you're...
I hear, cooking is the same thing. Cooking also.
It's not really destroying.
He's destroying, but he's also cooking something up. So the Sforno says, even though you are destroying, most of the time, when you light a fire on Shabbos, you will be destroying. This cooking, the fire is your utensil to most of the malachas. So he says over here, since making a fire, although it's destroying, and destroying, you're never obligated for doing a destructive thing on Shabbos from the Torah, but since this is a utensil to do the malachas like you're saying, that's how you do bishul, you use a fire, right? Or certain times of building, we use a fire, a lot of different things.
But especially today, just like electricity, I wouldn't call that destroying either. And it's involved in everything. It's the most ubiquitous thing that we have. It's like.
We have to think. But the actual, what about lighting a fire? What about lighting a fire out on the street? Are you allowed to light a fire? So there, it's kilkul, it's destroying. So the answer is that since the fire is used for doing malachas, almost all of them, he says, therefore the Torah said it's also on Shabbos. That's the Sforno's idea that he says over here. That's one idea that he brings. And the Rabbi Vayakhel also says that most of the malachas that people do is through fire. Either the fire is what gets them started, keeps it going. So he wants to even say further, that's why we make Havdalah on Motzei Shabbos, we use the fire. Because now you're allowed to do work. So if you're allowed to do work, so I'll tell you what you could do. The first thing to signify that you're allowed to do work is to make a fire. Borei me'orei aish. And happens to be that was the beginning of the first thing that Adam made a fire.
Plus it's the other the yayin and the bizamin are not us or for Shabbos, and then the eish is the first thing that's permitted.
The eish is right.
Becomes now permitted.
Right. That's the first thing that becomes permitted. Now the Rashbam has a little bit of a different idea. He wants to say that lo savaru eish is, you would have thought. He says that there was an idea that maybe on Yom Tov you're allowed to cook. We know you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov. So what will come on Shabbos? He says on Yom Tov you're allowed to cook for whatever you need to eat. Whatever you need to eat, you're allowed to cook. So you might have thought that Shabbos you could also cook, and you could also light a fire. So therefore it had to say that, no, only what you made from midday, only what you made from Friday, you're not allowed to cook. That's what the pasuk here, he wants to say, that's why we have to speak out eish, fire specifically over here. Because all other malachos we didn't have to speak out, because what are you going to tell me about building? So building, you're not allowed to build in Yom Tov. I never had a thought that you could build on Shabbos. Only about eish, about fire, there was a specific thought that maybe it will be mutter to make a fire on Shabbos. So on that the pasuk had to tell you, just like Yom Tov you're allowed, but Shabbos you're not allowed. That's how the Rashbam learns this up. Now, let's go into the Gemara a little bit on this idea. What the Gemara learns out. The Gemara learns out an interesting thing from this pasuk. Yeah. So that's the idea here. Is that good so far? This is clear. This is the first idea that we learn out from here. Now let's go into a little bit further when it said. Let's turn to the pasuk. I want to show you a beautiful drasha. Pasuk by Rabbi. by Rabbi. Perak Lamed Vav Pasuk Vav. So you see this pasuk here. It says Perak Lamed Vav Pasuk Vav. So it says don't carry here. What does it say? Right. The pasuk says that he let out a voice. Vayitav Moshe. Moshe commanded. Vayaviu kol b'machana, and he called out in the camp. Lemar, ish v'isha, a man and a lady, al yasu od malacha. They shouldn't do any more malacha. The Srumas HaKodesh, for the donating of the Kodesh. Vayikole ha'am mehavi, and the nation stopped to bring. And then the Pasuk Zion says that they had enough, and it was even too much. Fine, so that's the second thing.
Didn't we learn, the first class we ever did, I think we talked about this. If you remember the first class that you ever did, you brought this pasuk and said, why did Moshe stop the people? Because it was every Shabbos or something.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was this pasuk.
Yes, it is this pasuk. We'll review that. Maybe we'll review that lesson then. That lesson was.
That was a great class.
Yeah. So I'll go back to that, and that is that. What happened? They were bringing too much work. Now you have to carefully follow that, because the preceding psukim, pasuk Dalet Hey, pasuk Hey. What did he say in pasuk Hey? He said they're bringing too much stuff. Marbim Ma'am. They're bringing too much stuff. It's too much. So what does it say in pasuk Vav? It says Vayitav Moshe. So Moshe commanded, and he told them. He let out a voice in the camp, and he said, "You shouldn't do any more malacha." And then it says, so they stopped bringing. So it's a funny thing. He said they shouldn't do malacha. He said, don't do any more work. So I would have thought that meant, don't sew anything, don't do any of the different artistries. But the pasuk says, so what did they do? They stopped bringing. So it's a very funny hemshech, a continuation is very interesting. Right? That's the first thing to think about. Is that good? That's a good Shiloh? You see the pasuk?
It's basically being implicit.
That what?
They were bringing things, which is carrying things, and said stop doing malacha. Malacha equals bringing things.
Oh, so that seems to be that what we're going to learn out from this, because he told them don't do work, and then he said, okay, so they stopped bringing. So the Gemara says, where do we learn out that you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos? So Gemara brings this pasuk. Irving's bringing up, in Irving's honor, we'll go through this, that since it says, Vayikale ha'am, it said that Moshe let out a voice, and he commanded in the camp, and he said, don't do more work. So he learns out like this. Where was Moshe? Moshe, he was in, they had the camps, right? So they had the Shechina, the Machana, the camp of Hashem. That would be the Mishkan. That would be where the Mishkan was. And then you had where Moshe was. So the Gemara says, Moshe, he was sitting in the Machane Levi. Moshe was a Levi, right? So Moshe was sitting in the camp of Levi. And it happened to be the camp of Levi it was a Rosh Hashanah. Why was it it was a public thoroughfare? Why was it a public thoroughfare? Because wherever Moshe was, that's where everyone flocked to. Because Rashi says that everyone went to Moshe, right? Whenever you have a great man, so everyone flocks to the great man. So Moshe, where he was in a Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah means a thoroughfare where everyone's around. And on Shabbos, you're not allowed to carry from a Rosh Hashanah to a Rosh Hashanah, from a public thoroughfare to a private thoroughfare. And Moshe, what did he tell the Jews? He said, don't bring anything more, right? Don't do any malacha, don't do any more work. So he says, don't carry in or out from the Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Hashanah. Don't carry in, which means from where to where. So he told them, don't bring any more of the work. Where were they? They were all situated in their houses. What do you call a house? A house is a Rosh Hashanah. So he told them, don't bring any work from the Rosh Hashanah to the Rosh Hashanah, from the private thoroughfare to the public thoroughfare. That's the idea of the work that he was talking about. Don't do any more malacha means don't bring anything more, because carrying is one of the 39 malachas. He's telling them, don't carry. You should not carry.
Is that why though?
Why? That's why.
I mean, technically you can teach it that way and explain it that way, but why can't you say the simple meaning, which is that They just did, they excelled at what they were supposed to do. They had extra zrizas, they brought too much, stop bringing. Why can't that just be the explanation?
I didn't understand what Eli was
So
saying.
Eli's asking a great question. That's why I said you have to pay careful attention to the context of where the pasuk is going, because the pasuk before said that they're bringing too much material. We're overstocked with things for the Mishkan. We have enough to last us for the whole Mishkan.
Enough and extra, yeah.
And extra. And therefore, because that was in pasuk, the pasuk Hey. In pasuk Hey, he said they told Moshe it's too much. So pasuk Vav said, don't do any more work. Don't do any more work. So why can't you say that? Right? Tell me if this is what you're saying now. That idea why Moshe told them don't do any more work and don't bring it, right? One of the 39 malachos says don't bring it. Why can't you say that the reason why Moshe told them not to bring it is because they had too much?
Yeah, they excelled at their quota.
Right. Who says that the reason why he told them not to bring it is because it was Shabbos? Maybe the reason why he told them not to bring it is because they had too much material. What do you think? So far so good? We're yielding.
It makes sense to me that he would just say to them, hey guys, enough. Thank you. We don't have space for this. It's too much.
So for the fact that he just said don't bring any more, you want to say, right, that's where the Gemara is getting it from. So the Gemara in Shabbos, Eli, the Gemara does answer your kasha. Umimai de b'Shabbos have koi. How do you know it was on Shabbos? Dilma b'chol koi. Maybe it was on weekday. You'll ask me, so if it was on weekday, why didn't you tell him to stop bringing it? Dishlima alei malacha. Because they completed the malacha. As Dishlima alei avidita, they finished the malacha. And he brings the pasuk. He brings the pasuk of the next pasuk, pasuk Zayin. Ve'hamalacha hoisa dayam. The Gemara says there was enough malacha. V'lasais oisa ve'hoiser. There was enough malacha, and there was even extra. There was enough work. They did enough, and they did even more. So Eli's asking a beautiful question. This you have to ask yourself. So in that the Gemara says, no, but the first word of the pasuk here, pasuk Vav, it says Vayitav Moshe. The third word is Vayaviru. So the Gemara says, what does Vayaviru mean in pasuk Vav? And they passed through the camp. They had a voice come and pass through the camp. So he wants to say. He wants to say they passed through the camp. What is passed through? Why is that? Oh, that's a very weird type of word. By aviru kol, they passed through a voice through the camp. So the Gemara says, yeah, but if you turn to Sefer Vayikra, Parakaf Hey Pasuk Tes. I want to show you a different time. We also say, turn to page 700 and actually 698, 697. It here is talking in Parshas Bahar is talking about Yovel, and it says over here it will be Yom Kippur, right? When is Yom Kippur? When is Yovel? On the 50th year at Yovel. Then they blow the shofar, and look at Pasuk Tes, how it speaks out what they do. Right? In Pasuk Ches it says you count 7 weeks, 7 years, 7 times 7, 49, and then it says the last year, V'habarta shoifer truas b'chodesh hashvi. You shall pass through, make pass the shofar trua, a shofar trua. You see where I'm up to? Page 696, bottom line. A shofar trua. You make a trua on Yovel and Yom Kippur. B'chodesh hashvi. How do I know it's on Yom Kippur? Because what's the 7th month? Must be Tishrei. Lachodesh b'yom hasiri. Yom HaKippurim on Yom Kippur. Taviru shofar b'chol artzachem. That's when you pass a shofar through your whole lands. So we learn out, and then you make it kodesh. That's Yom Kippur. So the Gemara says like this. You ready for this? You can guess what the Gemara is going to do already. We have a Gzeir Shava, the word hav ta'aviru and the word ta'aviru. Just like over here, it's on a Yom which is holy, it's a day of holiness, it's Yom Kippur. So too when he told them, Vayaviru kol b'machaneh, back to our pasuk, and they passed through the voice, Moshe passed through a voice on that day, saying don't bring any more, that day was a holy day. So it could not have been a day of weekday.
But Yontif is a day that you are allowed to carry on Yontif. That's the exception.
It's true. We're not learning out that just like
Out of all the things you could have said.
No, we're not learning out that just like there you weren't allowed to carry something on this day with Moshe you weren't allowed to carry. What we're learning out is just like in Parshas Bahar, by Yovel, it's a holy day. On that day that it says, you shall ta'aviru, shall pass, the shofar shall pass through the camp to proclaim Yovel. So too when it says, over here too in our pasuk, it says, Vayaviru kol b'machana, that they passed a voice through the camp. That Vayaviru is the same word as ta'avaru over here too. So we say, ta'avar, the same word, gzeira shava. We learn out from here that just like that, the holy day. Which holy day is it? Yom Kippur. So too this is a holy day. And this, which holy day is it? It was Shabbos. So that's how I know, that's the answer to your question. Right? Yeah, that's the answer to the question, how you know that it was Shabbos. And Moshe was telling them, don't bring anything more. You know why? Not because you finished. Comes out a whole different way how to read the pasuk. You were saying like the Pashup shot. That's the way the first glance, that's how you should read the pasuk. But the Gemara is saying, no, it was a holy day. So Moshe Rabbeinu, back to our pasuk, Moshe told them on this holy day, which holy day? Shabbos. It's a holy day Shabbos. On a holy day of Shabbos, don't do any work. It's a holy day of Shabbos, don't do work. Which work? Now which work? Which of the 39 works? The answer is, we're picking one out of the 39, don't carry. That's the 39. Don't carry. So Moshe Rabbeinu told them on Shabbos, don't carry. That's what we learn out from here. Right? Is that so far so good?
That was the shop of the...
And I want to tell you about Turim on the spot here. So far so good, Eli? You hit the Gemara's kasha, but the Gemara's teretz is, I'll read it to you inside, Gomar Havara. We learn out from one pasuk Havara by Yovel to our pasuk of Havara Miyom Kippur. It's Yom Kippur. It says Havara. Ma la'alan biyom aser. Just like in Bahar, it was on a day which was aser. It was forbidden to do work. Afkan biyom aser. So over here, it's the day which is forbidden to do work. And therefore the Gemara says, this is the source. This pasuk is the source that says that you're not allowed to carry. Because Moshe told them, don't bring any more materials for the Mishkan. And today was Shabbos. How do we know it's Shabbos? So we have now this Gzeira Shabbos.
Because they didn't learn yet that carrying is Zasur on Shabbos, but he wanted to prevent them from making an Avera.
Right. Now the question is, when did they learn this out? They learned it from the Mishkan.
But this was his first introduction to carrying being a malacha for Shabbos, no?
Yeah, could be now would be the right. Now would be the first time. Now they're about to do all the 39 malachas. So far so good, Jason. What do you think? Interesting. Any questions?
I have a question. So we said that Eila Haverim, and then it comes to be succinct on one,
right.
Lighting fires.
And that was lighting fires, right.
Right. So, and you said lighting fire is the only malacha that's actually mentioned of the 39, straight in Minat Torah. So this one here, that's subtly a drush, you know, are the other 37 also put in that way?
The other 37 you won't even find like a drush, just about. You have to check them.
But they're in there, but we're just not familiar with it?
No. But we don't have darshan. Here we have a clear Gemara stating carrying.
Right.
Carrying, and it's clear because the pasuk says, don't do work. What does that mean? Don't carry anything more outside. I just want to tell you another proof.
So my question, like, there's no other.
No, so there's no other psukim.
In Gemaras that bring out the other ones.
No. The other ones are purely learned out from the fact that the Mishkan is placed next to Shabbos. Right. It says Shabbos, don't do work, and then it says make the Mishkan. So we learn out what compromises the what
comprises
what comprises the 39 malachas. Anything which is in the Mishkan. Those are work, and it says don't do work. So any of these things, the only two things which we find clear in the Torah in this parsha, don't light a fire, and number two, don't carry. It's not so clear, right? Anyone reading the pasuk on a shot on a simple level won't see that. But the Gemara is learning it out with the Gzeira Shabbat. But the Torah also gives you a little bit of maybe a little bit of a hint, because he says Shabbos what we go back, when was the Torah given? The Torah was given on Shabbos, right? Happens to be, to see the Gemara there, but there is at least one view that says Torah was given on Shabbos.
So what was the problem in Moses throwing the Luchot? I mean, it's destroying, right?
How can he destroy?
He can destroy.
He could.
Yeah.
What? Because what? Because they didn't get the Torah yet.
It's not, you're doing the opposite of creating.
So
You're creating a mess. A balagan.
So so what happened? The Torah was given on Shabbos. Now listen to the calculation here. So it comes out that Yom Kippur of that year, if you make the cheshbon, if you make the calculation, Shavuos, I guess Shavuos l'Shabbos, if Shavuos is Shabbos, then Yom Kippur will be on Tuesday. Okay? You're going to have to get out the calculator to find that out, how that works. But that's apparently how it goes. If Shavuos is Shabbos, there's certain days are come out. You can figure it out. But if Yom Kippur, right, if Shavuos is on Shabbos, Yom Kippur is on Tuesday. On Wednesday was the after Yom Kippur. That's when they got atonement on Yom Kippur. So on Wednesday he told them, okay, now you got atonement. Now let's build a Mishkan. The Mishkan will be the atonement for the calf. And they brought stuff. Now the pasuk says, how much did they bring? So look back at pasuk Gimel. You see pasuk Gimel by us, right? Here it says in pasuk Gimel, Vayakhel milafnei Moshe, and they write it back on our pasuk here. It says an interesting idea here. Comes out, right? That means Yom Kippur was on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and says, bring stuff for the Mishkan. Let's build a Mishkan. So that's Wednesday. Then, Pasuk Gimel, Vayakhel milafnei Moshe kol HaTrumos, and they took all of the donations and they gave it to the people, and then they brought it to Moshe. Right? And they brought all the stuff that they brought for the holy work. Look at the last two words of that pasuk. The last two words of the pasuk is that they brought it baboker. How many mornings is that? 2 mornings. Says the Torah, if so, Wednesday they got the command. So they brought it 2 mornings. They brought it Thursday morning and Friday morning. Right? Comes out that now they brought too much. So they told Moshe, it's too much, Marbim, they're bringing too much. So Moshe let out a voice in the Machana, and he proclaimed, don't do any more work. So he says that day was the next day. The next day was Shabbos. That's the day when it says, "Vayaviu kol b'machana."
That's it sounds like it's just a technicality. It happened to work out that day.
It happened to, yeah. And which day did he?
So you can't necessarily tight out Shabbos. Just say that was the day where it was too much. Doesn't necessarily. It's not just because it was Shabbos. Like, they reached their limitations.
Yeah. So this is a good question here. Now, how do you drive the two together? How do you drive the pasuk? The pasuk seems to say that they were having too much, but the Gemara seems to say Vayaviru, that they let out Vayaviru. They passed through a voice. And that Vayaviru, we learn from Yom Kippur, it was a holy day. Either way, you can ask even on the Gemara.
Vayaviru, I don't think you need to make the connection from there. Just if you're saying like, if you want to find a way to say Shabbos from just that they brought too much.
Well, why did you have this question when I said the Gemara Vayaviru that we learned out it was a holy day?
Holy day, Gzera Shabbat, that's fine. Like,
and therefore, this day when he called it out was a holy day. But you should have said, I thought you would say, oh, it's a holy day. Yeah, but why did he tell them to stop?
Because they brought too much for some. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But was that the reason? Because they brought too much?
That's what we're trying to find out.
So it seems, either way, that it's a coincidence that they brought too much. And in Pasuk Hey, he's saying they're bringing too much. Pasuk Vav says, it's Shabbos. Don't do any work today. Don't do melacha.
I didn't realize that wait, what were the 2 things you just said?
Either you have the Gemara.
No, what was the double word you said?
Baboker.
I didn't realize that that's how we got to Shabbos.
That's a different way how to get to it.
Yeah.
There's 2 ways. Either we go through the Gemara, Gzera Shabbat, it says the word Vayaviru, and we learn after Yom Kippur it's a holy day, so this day was holy. Or the Torah takes you on a journey through time and sets you up with the calculations that Shavuos was on Shabbos, Yom Kippur was on Tuesday. Wednesday, Moshe told them to do the work. Thursday, Friday, Baboka, they brought it. Shabbos was when he made this proclamation, don't bring anything more. It's different, a different way how to get to there.
But to say that, the calculations of Shavuos and whatnot,
Yeah.
that's all the more reason to say that it's fluky, that it just happened to be Shabbos.
What's the difference? Either way, it happens to be Shabbos.
Because if it just happens to be Shabbos, then you can't, if it just happens to be, you can't say, oh, this is where we learn out not caring.
Are you saying Havara is not just it happens to be? You're saying, according to Gemara is like learning out specifically.
Yeah. And then this is just happenstance.
I hear what you're saying. Interesting. We'll have to think about that. But right, so either way, I hear what you're saying. But so the Gemara actually, so we'll go with that, with the Gemara. The Gemara's idea is that it's telling you for a reason that it was on Shabbos.
Did you locked out?
We were, there was a class in there. We have to see about next week.
Good advertising.
It was a Russian class.
Rabbi Swirsky was there?
Oh, he was just a visitor. They probably just got some confusion.
Okay.
But I'll ask them.
Yeah, Kuttner went upstairs. They went upstairs. Okay. So next week we'll...
I'll check. I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay.
Good though, we have classes in the lobby then.
Yeah, we're bursting at the seams. So this is the Gemara. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So it's an interesting thing. So according to the Gemara, you have to read the pasuk that he told them. They told Moshe, you have too much work. So Moshe said, now it happened to be, Moshe told them on Shabbos, don't do any more work. And it's beautiful, the words, they stopped to bring. The reason why they stopped to bring is because it was Shabbos. You can't carry anything. They might have had more work at home, but they stopped bringing. That's what mehavi is a funny word in the end of pasuk vav. They stopped mehavi. So that mem.
So that alone can teach you Shabbos. Why is Shabbos? No, why not anything else? How do you direct that to Shabbos?
How do we know that which holy day?
Mehavi, yeah, whatever. Just like that word.
So, the mehavi? No, the mehavi just said that they didn't bring anything and they didn't carry. That they were mehavi means that they were forced against their will not to bring. Vayakhel means they ended mehavi from bringing. Doesn't say lehavi, that they stopped to bring, but mehavi. I'm just telling you an interesting diktuk that the mem says that they were forced against their will from bringing anything more because Moshe said, don't bring anything more at Shabbos. Just that idea. But in reference to this Gemara, so that's how you have to read the Gemara and the pasuk. And then the next pasuk says, and the malacha that they brought, it was Shabbos, so they didn't bring anything more. So they just took a look around and they started measuring, and it says the malacha was too much. It was.
You can't measure on Shabbos.
Yeah, they just they looked around. The malacha was enough. So it comes down like it was two different. Ellie's bringing out very interesting how the pasuk is jiving. There was enough work, but that wasn't why he told them don't bring more. Even though the people came to Moshe and told him, they're bringing a lot. But maybe you could say, it's good they're bringing a lot. But yeah, they were bringing even midei avodah, more than the work. But that wasn't why Moshe told them, don't bring anything more. The Gemara is learning out from here that is why you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos. Because Moshe said, don't bring. Where? Don't bring from Machan, from your house, which is a Rishus HaYachid. That's their house. To Moshe, where he was happened to be a Rishus HaRabim. How do you know he was a Rishus HaRabim? Not because he lived in the street, but because wherever the king is, that's where the hordes of people are. So that was a Rishus HaRabim.
By definition, yeah.
So he told them, don't bring from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. So therefore, we learn from here, you can't carry. And the Gemara says, that's why you can't bring out from your own property, your own Rishus HaYachid, to the Rishus HaRabim, to the public thoroughfare. And the Gemara says, and what about carrying from the outside to the inside? Right? That's Hotzah is when you go out. What about Haknasa, bringing in? So the Gemara says, that's a svara, that's logic. It's the same thing. What's the difference going out or going in? Same way you can't go out, you can't go in. And therefore, from here we learn out, these are the first two of the malachas of carrying. Okay, so this is a good introduction. Okay, beautiful. No, we're perfect, because this is the idea that we were bringing up that last year.
I remember from the first one.
I think the Gzera Shava makes the most sense. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, no, the Gzera Shava is the real way. The Torah is giving you a remez. It's just giving you a remez and a hint and showing you clearly, just like a backup.
What is this Mehavi? What's his word? What?
Oh, no. The Me'avi was just the,
Right.
how you explain the diktuk. The Me'avi was just how to see, just in terms of the grammar. No, but the Torah was bringing it from the calculations. The calculations
Right.
were Shavuos, Yom Kippur, 2 days, right? Wednesday was the first day. Thursday, Friday is Boker. Shabbos, he told us don't bring anything more. But it's beautiful. It's an interesting question. You asking a great question.